Hey, good morning, Keller Williams, and welcome to the Area Tech Training. I know a bunch of us right now are snowed in our houses or iced in or not going anywhere. And you know what? I hope you're having a great day with the kids. So this is getting recorded. So if you're not going to see it right now, that's okay. Watch it later. But I'm really excited about today. Today we're going to talk about databases. And I know half of you probably just checked out. Hang on, give me a couple seconds. I want to talk about databases, but I also want to bring in Chris Orsini. He is the Director of Technology for United Home Group with Cody Gibson. So let's welcome in Chris. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Hey, man. What's the weather like in Florida?
It's pretty rough down here. Somewhere in the upper 60s, lower 70s. Oh, no, 76. So it's a little bit more bearable.
Okay. Chris, in 30 seconds or less, explain to me what a frozen iguana warning is.
So iguanas are cold-blooded. So when it drops, down to these frigid, 50s, upper 40s, iguanas will freeze and fall out of the trees. And so we do get warnings here when we're about to get a cold front to watch out for falling iguanas. And not to, people will want to pick them up and take them in their car and try to revive them. It's incredibly discouraged because people will do that. They'll come to life in their car and then wreak havoc.
Yeah. I thought a dog was rough. What would 20 iguanas do to me? Yeah, really cool. Okay. So, Chris, today we're talking about database. We're talking about the why. Why database? Why does it matter? So I have preached for too long and told everyone the simple fact that if you don't have a database, you don't have a business. And so many agents come back and talk to me and they're like, yo, I don't need a database to do business. I'm relational. This is all you need. And I challenge that objection every single time with, I'm willing to bet you do have a database. You just don't manage it well. And every time they're like, no. And I say, okay, well, here's what we're going to do. I want you to open your contacts app on your phone and scroll all the way to the bottom. And everyone look at that number. That's a database. You've got a database right here. But managing 1,000 people in a contacts app is impossible to keep consistent relationship with. And so we've said in the past, and we're going to say it again, our goal is to have simply a system in place to bridge relationship in times of separation. And that's what technology does. It connects us when we're not together. So I can talk database for a long time, but Chris, I want you to tell me your views, your thoughts, the United Home Group's thoughts. First off, for those of you who don't know who Cody Gibson is, I'm going to give you 10 seconds to Google him and then come back and get excited.
No. So yeah, Cody Gibson is one of the larger expansion teams in our company. He has about 170 agents across the country. They're based out of Portland. And what's cool with being an expansion team is I can still work for Cody, who's in Portland, from here in Florida. So I think I just might have beat out John Morris as having the longest commute. So yeah, database. Now here's the thing, and this is, what you pointed out very well, Tim, is, the difference between a database and a contact list is that a database is something that's living and breathing. You can't go into your phone's contacts and quickly segment them, right? You can't, if you go on iPhone and say, oh, I want to see all the people who I have contacted, or all the people who are leads who I haven't contacted. No, it doesn't segment them. You don't have tags. You can set up groups. I set up a group like 7 years ago in my contacts, never used it, and I don't even know how to take it off. Let's be real. So, and this is the beauty of Command. And do you mind if I share my screen real quick, Tim?
Yeah, man. Go for it.
Okay. So I should have tested this before just to make sure it does work. And there we go. Application window. There we go.
We're just tech guys. Things don't always work.
So here we go. You see my command screen now?
Yeah, we got you.
Beautiful. Okay. So this is one thing I love to point out when I'm training in Command. So we have, of course, and if you guys have been in here, I'm sure this looks familiar, but on the left-hand side, we have our static information. And this is the sort of things that you're going to find in your phone, right? And that's only half of what we have here. So we've got, you know, our static, the phone number, email address, whatever. Yes, this is my contact information. Feel free and take it down. Feel free to take it down. Just don't harass me. We also have neighborhood data, and this is what is so cool. So as a tech guy, I geek out on this, and maybe you guys will too. So we are the only real estate company with a true partnership with both Google and Facebook. Facebook has nothing to do with it aside from bragging rights right here. But what we do is we take our Google Maps data, right? You can see Google right there. So we got Google Maps. And then we also have a partnership with Nextdoor. And then we take the Nextdoor neighborhood data and lay that over our Google Maps data. And then our artificial intelligence goes and looks at the address, find where it's pinned on the map, and then designates that neighborhood to that contact. That's something we don't have anywhere else, right? And then we look on the right-hand side, and this is what really makes it a database, right? So let's be honest, guys, you can go out and buy a CRM that's going to keep a timeline of all your history with that contact. You can go and buy a transaction manager to watch your pipelines, or a Trello board, right? You can go get MailChimp or a texting service and automate, or BombBomb, right? And automate your touches. You can have a to-do list. You probably have one on your phone, right? The reminders app. You can, of course, take notes with any CRM, and you can go buy a website with an IDX feed. But where can you go and have this all in one place? This is what gives me goosebumps, right? This is all integrated into one real estate ecosystem for you, and it's at no extra cost. You guys are already paying that $25 a month tech fee. Why not take advantage of it? So this is the beauty of it. And now now that you have this database segmented and organized, and you have rich, real data on this person, you can then go back and touch your database and capture that business. Because who here has been, well, I can't get answers, but I'm sure many of you have been through Ignite. So Ignite session 2, one of the questions they ask is, how do you know when someone's ready to transact in real estate? Do you know the answer to that one, Tim?
When they start looking at houses.
Actually, the answer is we don't. We're not mind readers. So
I thought you were talking about the command. That's because I can see it.
No. So this is, yeah, well, that helps, right? That helps. But this specifically, the Ignite question is, yeah, we don't know. We can't get inside someone's head. So our objective is to either be the first person that talks to them, or the first person on their mind when they decide to transact in real estate. And using tools like Command and a database allows us to do that. And to be honest, guys, I would rather you use any database, any CRM, whether it be Command or not, and get it out of your phone, right? In my opinion, I'm a Command evangelist, and I think Command is your best option. But so just getting them out of here is step one.
So let's talk to step one. Why does a database matter? So one of my best quotes that I've read lately was...
I'll stop my screen share.
No, you're good. It was from Jay Bear, which I'm probably butchering his name. And it simply said, the more you know about your customers, the more you can provide to them information that is increasingly useful, relevant, and persuasive. So the more we know about them, the cleaner that database, the better we can touch them, and the more value we bring. And at the end of the day, Amen. So many conversations, everything we do is all about bringing value to our clients, and not just a transaction. We've got to bring value to them so that A, they do transact with us, but B, they keep those referrals coming. It builds that relationship. Technology is not here to replace the relationship. It's here to grow it together and bridge it in times of separation. So this was a great quote, and I hope you all are getting that one today. The other one,
and Tim, can I go a little deeper on that too?
Yeah,
So, and this kind of gets into marketing a little bit too, marketing and prospecting. But when we talk about tags, I get the question a lot of, what do I tag people? What do I use for tags? And the easiest question to ask yourself with that is, where do I know this person? Right? Because when we get into marketing, when we get into prospecting, Tim, do you want to send the same emails to grandma as you do to your pastor, as you do to a buyer?
No. So let me give you my example, Chris. Steal this one. We've got a great agent services agent here in Midland. Her name's Courtney Pyle. And I preach data segmentation high. You want to be able to break that database down. Y'all just saw that I had 1,015 contacts in my phone, which means they're in command. I don't want to send them all the same message. She does animal fostering, and she'll have dog events, cat events, whatever. You don't want to email the cat people the dog event. You don't want to text the dog people about the cat event. So having a simple dog foster, cat foster tag, she has now divided her database and made it more useful, easier to connect, and simply cheaper because she's not spending time and money talking to the wrong people. And that's what real estate agents do too often. We talk to the wrong people.
And when we get into things like this, we're habit building, right? And now I'm going to get into one thing conversation. We're going to start coaching here, because here's the thing is we look at agents who seem to be so disciplined, right? They seem like, okay, they've been doing this for years. They got like so many millions in production. We think, okay, they must be just inherently good at this. And that's not true. What they did was, it was time on task over time. They built habits that then stacked on other habits. And you know what? We can make it easier to stack these habits if we're using less mind share to do the activities. And that's where this technology is a huge leverage point.
You stole my quote. You stole my quote right here. Success isn't actually a short race. It's a sprint fueled by discipline just long enough for the habit to kick in and take over. And so we're talking about the habit of database, the habit of building relationships, monitoring those relationships, and making sure that you've connected with the people you need to connect with. And this is a Gary Kellerism right here, straight from the man himself. And when we talk about it, what does it take to make a habit? If you've been in Keller Williams, which a lot of our agents, I know we have so many new agents right now, so I'm not going to make any assumptions. We know that it takes 66 days of doing something on average for it to stick as a habit. So if you can spend the next 66 days building that database, growing that database, managing that database, I guarantee at the end of it, not only is it going to feel more natural and come normal, you're going to have more business. I would bet money on this. If you do this habit, if you build this database over the next 66 days and you don't get one single piece of business from it, I'll personally take you to lunch, because there's no way it doesn't build you business.
Count me in on that, Tim.
Yeah, and Chris is going to call me out on that. So
come down to Florida. We'll get lunch.
All right. Oh man, I just want to.
If you don't get business in 60 to 66 days from that, I will buy you a plane ticket to come down to Florida and get lunch with me.
Yeah. I mean, and I've got time and time again of examples of it working, of our system simply keeping track, monitoring, and making sure that we are being front of mind and we have that mind share. We're gonna move forward here in about. I'm gonna give us about another 2 or 3 minutes just to kind of talk through database. One thing I want to specifically state: the system that you use is the best system there is. If you're not going to use it, don't use it. Fine. If it's not Command, get something else. If it's HubSpot, get HubSpot. If it's Boomtown, Boomtown. I don't care who you use. I personally think Command is the best option right now for Keller agents because of everything. But if you don't use the system, there's no point in having it. So up front right there. But I can tell you now, I've seen the success of Command, and I've seen other agents be successful with it. And Chris has too. So with that said, what is the best way for you to help your agents build their database consistently? Chris.
Consistently. So I think one of the best things I've seen our agents implement that I've encouraged is implementing the DTD2 in their database.
Yeah.
Now, are you guys doing that up there? Are you familiar with the DTD2?
So I'm a bold student, so we know DTD2, but walk through. We have a bunch of new agents, so walk us through that. Explain.
Okay, so DTD2 stands for Doing the Database 2, which is a hyper creative name, I know. But what they do is they've taken the alphabet and they've paired up 2 letters based on the average number of last names that start with those letters, right? So A and W, for instance. Now, what you want to do is, what I encourage our agents to do is go through and tag your database based on those the DTD2 letters, right? Now, every Monday morning, you can walk in the door and say, okay, today, or, roll out of bed and into your desk, say, today is my A&W today, filter by A&Ws, you click on the name, and then what's great is you can go and call, take your notes, and then there's a next and previous contact button at the top, and just click next, click next, click next, and just call through, call through, call through. And I've seen people get so much business through this. And now what's great is you're staying top of mind, because here, statistically, Tim, do you know how long it takes someone to forget you?
I'm a pretty forgettable person. I'd say 30 seconds.
Okay, so we're not goldfish, Tim, but the statistically is about 3 weeks. Right. So if we're going with the 19 to connect or the 36 to convert, part of that is a quarterly call plan for both of those. So we're calling every 90 days and then using emails to follow up and stay top of mind. So, so if we're calling every 3 months, we also have a smart plan too, a quarterly call plan that'll remind you to keep calling people. But DTD2, tagging based on those names has been probably the most efficient thing I've seen our agents implement.
Yeah, absolutely. I think DTD2 is probably the best system you can implement for contact management and for touch management. And we're going to break down. We're going to, here in just a minute, we're going to walk through every step of a contact and just kind of look at what value does this piece of information bring. Because too many times I see agents bring in databases and they'll upload it and then they never touch it, or it's inconsistent or incomplete data. So we've got great names, we've got great phone numbers, but not enough emails or not enough addresses, or don't have birth dates, don't have home anniversaries, things like that. And every piece that gets added into the database makes your job easier. And so the hard part is, it's the hard part. Getting that database built, getting it clean, getting it focused, making sure that it's doing what you want it to do is the hard part. The easy part is when you get a text message and it says, hey, next week is so-and-so's birthday, go get them a gift or give them a call in 7 days. Great. And you can do either one, or you can send out the card. We have a lot of agents that love to write birthday cards. So you might be getting that text or getting that task notification, a week earlier, and you're like, oh, time to write it out, send it out. So there's great tools here that I just don't want us to miss out on to make our business easier. And again, like you said, just maintain that mind share. So I was trying to pull up a DTD2 schedule to share.
See, I just always relied on our agent services to email it out every week. So
yeah. Well, maybe that's a conversation we'll have is simply just sending out an email saying, hey, talk to your A's and W's today. Talk to your CK, SU, all the different ones. So here we go. Here is an image right here. Let me share my screen. Hang on. So right here, this is a DTD2 schedule. So week 1, you got your AWs, your CKs, your SUs. Oh, sorry, it goes down. AWs, B's and E's, DNOs, H and V's. This is super simple, and this is something that can easily be learned, segmented, and reused over and over, and it's consistent. And that's number one, what we want to see is consistency. So,
whoa.
Yeah, it gets kind of trippy when you start sharing. All right. Next up, I want us to look at a command contact and really just talk through the value of each piece. And Chris, jump in if you have any thoughts. You're a significantly smarter man than I, so I love everything you say. So let's just take a look here. Give me a second. We will pull the screen up, and I'm gonna go ahead and have Allison. Allison's here too this week. Allison is our MCTT in Amarillo. We didn't get to see her face last week because she had a camera issue, but Allison, if you have anything to jump in, chime in, please do it. Share with us, help us grow, and as we seek out to be more successful here. But let's just talk about contacts. I'm going to jump over to my personal so I don't make my team too mad today. All right. So if we're talking manual, we're talking a simple contact. The value piece of a name. You got to have a name. If you don't know the person's name, just stop. Unless you have a nickname that you can get a real name later. But full name is super valuable because if you can't approach someone and address them by their name, you're not going to win any business. Relationships. This is huge. I have too many agents that are like, I didn't connect them. And I'm like, well, what if you just bought a house from them, or they just bought a house and they're living with them and you're calling them, asking them about buying a house? Like, that could get a little embarrassing, you know? We need to know who's connected to who. That doesn't just have to be spouses. There are all sorts of relationships in here you can tack in. And it's really nice when you start thinking about like pie day, because usually I only want one pie to go to each house. So if I've got, multiple people and they're like, yeah, I want a pie. And then next thing you know, you've got 4 pies going to one house. You just spend a lot of money advertising to one household. So relationships matter. And I didn't even mean that one to come out, but there's another Kellerism that gets you really good. Spouses. So primary email. I get a lot of databases that come in. In fact, when we do a pie sync or we import a lot of databases, they don't have emails because we typically don't keep emails attached to our contacts in our phone. I mean, Chris, how many do your contacts have emails?
Oh, on my phone, like maybe 1%.
Maybe 1%. Allison, how about you? You're
About
muted, Allison.
About the same.
About the same? Yeah. I mean, I think 1% is probably generous. So a lot of times when we do these imports and things, it's not super clean and great. But without an email, we can't send a monthly neighborhood nurture. And when we're talking about those touches and getting everything in that we need to get in, that's important. That's 12 touches with a monthly neighborhood nurture. And if you go bi-weekly, that's 24 touches. So there's super huge value here. And then phone number. I mean, I don't want to just be overly obvious with this, but you can't call them if you don't have a phone number. You can't text them if you don't have a phone number. And guys, we're international. I mean, I have a client in Europe right now who just bought a townhome here in Midland, Texas. So we're ready for them. Be putting those people in, get them in, and get them added. Chris, I know you've got a limited time here. I want to ask, give me your thoughts on the value of the contact before I spend the rest of this time breaking down this contact sheet.
So yeah, I think another really valuable thing is our next field here is the lead sources. So I coach agents to always implement lead source, always put in the lead source. Because first off, you're not going to remember when you come back to it later on. But this is really important, and this showed its value this year. I can't tell you how many agents I watched cut away so many expenses because they went and looked at where their lead sources were and chiseled it down to the top 5 or even the top 3 and saved themselves tons of money. Well, last year during the pandemic. So definitely make sure to put in lead source, and you can create custom lead sources just by typing in that field. Yeah.
So what he's talking about specifically is right here in lead sources. We've got our basic ones, and then you can create new ones. It's a simple type in. We could say referral groups. Maybe you got a Facebook referral group, and it'll just bring up this custom source. Create custom source. You click on it, walk through it, prospecting, marketing, go through the whole thing. And I want to take a couple seconds to jump on that, Chris, because my team specifically, end of year taxes just started doing everything and running through like what I spent money on with lead generating sites. And I'm embarrassed with how much I spent with some of these companies. I mean, and everybody's got the ones they love, and I'm not going to bash on any specific company, but like when I go and I look at my return on investment and I can see that those contacts came from that specific lead source, and I'm like, whoa, man, we have not made our money back on that. This is a huge business opportunity, and it's a very valuable one. And I think a lot of new agents tend to miss this, especially because they're like, I just need leads. I don't care where they come from. And so they'll spend money on some sources, and then they'll never go back and audit those sources and say, hey, man, I spent $5,000 with that company and I got one transaction. I don't know if that was a really good investment or not. And it probably wasn't. So lead source is huge and very, very valuable. I do want to take a couple seconds here. So I always have this conversation with new agents and actually normal agents, not normal, existing agents as well. They always talk about the definition of a lead. And so Command defines lead and contact in two different ways than I think most agents will. And the biggest piece, if we can boil it down to one thing, is a lead is one-way communication and a contact is two-way communication. So if you're marking this box right here, it's because they haven't come back to you. Like you haven't gotten any flow or any conversation at all. I have a lot of agents that they'll be like getting ready to transact and they're still a lead. I'm like, no, dog, they're a contact. Move on with that relationship. So in Command, and I know we've defined leads for the past 20 years in different ways, but this is how we're going to define that. Now we're going to go to tags. I want to talk about tags because, as I said before, I love data segmentation. I love being able to take 1,000 contacts and hit 10 people with a very specifically written message. And the beautiful part of it is, and yes, there are a bunch of weird tags right now. We're getting those fixed. You've got all sorts of great options to pick from, and they're actually working on those tags right now. So data segmentation. So Chris, I gave you an example of one of the ways that we've talked about segmenting data. What's the most valuable data segmentation you've implemented to date?
So in the next, I got to jump off and right after this. So I think I mentioned it before was the DTD2. That's probably been the best. Me personally, I also do recruiting. So, segmenting into recruits and, but really understanding, who this person is and why do I want to talk to this person. Right.
Yeah. How am I connected to this person? Because you'll have that person in your database sometime. You're like, I don't know who this is.
Yep.
Chris.
And then on top of that, just one thing I do want to add with the lead sources, you can also add a contact as a lead source. So you can say that this person was referred to me from someone else. And then in that case, right, if you're like, hey, I don't remember why the heck this person is in my database, you can now call the referral source and say, hey, I remember you referred this person to me. Can you get me up to speed onto what you sent them to me for?
That's huge. I didn't even know we could do that. I'm going to have to dig into that. I didn't know we could connect a contact to a lead source. That's amazing. Wow. There's my aha for the day, guys. Hey, Chris Orsini, Home Group, Driver of Technology, thank you so much for joining us this week. Guys, don't give up. I'm still talking, and we're still going to keep going through this contact. Chris, till we see you next time, man. Have a good day.
Have a great one.
All right. So now me and Allison get to keep going, and we're going to keep working through this contact. So we've talked about the name. We've talked about this, and it seems very obvious why it matters. But let's talk about it in MREA terms. So without an email, we lose touches. We know it takes 36 touches to convert. We know it takes 19 touches to connect. These guys coming in as Facebook leads, these guys coming in as whatever leads, we have to be hitting them and making sure that they know who we are and we're here to help. So as we work through all of these, we've got some great tools. Data segmentation is huge. There is some extra stuff here that also is valuable. So let's talk about primary address. So this is super valuable, and I have way too many agents that ignore this. When you put in a primary address, it automatically pulls the neighborhood for the neighborhood nurture. So when you've got that seller that's like, man, I'm not anywhere close to selling, but I'd love to know how the neighborhood's doing. Everybody wants to know how the neighborhood's doing. Come on. They want to know who sold what for how much. Give it to them. Give them a monthly neighborhood nurture. Put their address in, get the neighborhood for their house, and put them on that monthly neighborhood nurture. And when it's time to sell, they're going to have 12, even if it's a year, they're going to have 12 emails from you giving them value, bringing them value before they even think about calling another agent. So this is huge value. Also, let's talk about the mailing address. A lot of agents, I see them skip that little checkbox. If you want to mail postcards, which are starting to kind of come back as a popular way of communication and touching, check that box. And then when you go to real mailers and say, target my database, you can send your people postcards. Great. You can also export a list to go into those Avery labels. You can export mailing lists to make mailing labels. There's great options here, but you got to check the mailing address. Social profiles. All right, now I'm going to give you a caveat here. This is a future-facing tool. Today, this does not connect to targeting your database. In the future, it will. So right now, the way our Facebook database, little Michigan in there, our Facebook database targeting works is it looks at the email and it says, okay, this email has this Facebook, they get targeted with this ad. In the future, we are going to see a switch get flipped where we can target off of their Facebook URL. That way, if we have Joe Blow who uses joeblow@gmail.com for Facebook and Joe Blow 2 as his normal, they still get connected. They still get the advertisement. This is a future facing, but it's also super valuable in that it can be anything. We can put URLs, we can put websites. It doesn't matter. I had an agent call the other day and say, look, I just want to put all of my business people's websites in the contact card. I said, right here, go to social profiles, URL, slap it in. You can also create more profiles. It's not, you can get as custom as you want with it. So let's move on. I don't want to spend too much time here. I don't want to lose you. We got legal name, description, fine with me. Birth date. Get me a birth date. And when that birth date smart plan runs around and you get a task 7 days before, you'll thank me. Now, some of you will probably need to put your spouse in here, and maybe instead of home anniversary, just put your wedding anniversary. So you get that task notification 7 days before saying, hey, your spouse's home anniversary is coming up. Maybe you should go buy a gift. Maybe you should go buy some flowers. And I've seen some agents use this. So home anniversary is also awesome. I mean, how many of us transact with enough people to where we're like, I don't know when they bought. I just know it was sometime in the spring. Well, let's send them a card. Let's give them a call. Let's send them a text. We've got to get those 36 touches in to keep them as our client and keep them referring. Why not utilize our past business to create new business? So home anniversary is huge. Birth date is huge. Let me ask this question. I have so many agents that are like, I don't know their birth date. Okay. Do you? Because I'm pretty sure your friends on Facebook, and realtors are professional stalkers. So get on Facebook, scroll until their last birthday, and note that date down. And if you don't know how to do that, we'll talk about that sometime when we're not recording. But guys, you can get this data. People are openly sharing this stuff. You can find it. I have personally had to scroll back in Facebook to find the got our new home post so I could remember what date we closed on that house. Because before that, it was all dot loop and I wasn't clear on my data. So stalk it, find the information, get the information that we need. But you're doing good when you're filling it out. All right, work and job title. Now, this is valuable. It is one of those where I have in the past had leads, clients give us stuff. I'm like, man, I don't know how they're related within their company, but if they're the CEO, let's put the CEO. If they're in the company, let's put the company. Final piece, real fast, I know. Custom fields. This is huge. Guys, you can create your own custom field. If there is something with every single one of your clients you're noting, this is where you need to do it. So I've had some examples of secondary families, mixed families, things like that, where it's they've got kids from multiple marriages. They wanted to note that. Or it's as simple as, what high school did they go to? I had a really young agent come in. He was probably 20. And he's like, I want to note all my people and which high school in town they went to. I said, great, we can do that right now. We'll come in here. We'll create a custom field. Add custom, type it out first. Create custom field. And he said, I just want to have the two options. I don't want to have to type in Permian. I don't want to have to type in Cooper. I don't want to do any of that. I said, yeah, we can do that right now. All you're going to do is come in here. Just put a comma in between each one. Get done. Now we go to high school and we've got our 3 different options to pick from. Super easy, super fast, especially if you have that one piece of information that sets you apart from other agents. So custom fields, don't be afraid of using those. And if you have questions, reach out. That's the power of this. This bad boy is going to help you get your 36 touches a year. I don't know if you've taken the time to do the math. That's 3 touches a month. Guys, that's a lot. If you're trying to call someone 36 times a year, if you call me 36 times a year, we're not friends anymore, period. We're not talking. We're done. We've got to mix it up. We've got to find reasons. We've got to build that relationship and bridge the time apart. So that is the value of the contact inside of Command. I do want to take a couple of seconds and talk about importing. So we're going to wrap this up with 3 things. You can import. If you export your contacts from another database, you can come in here to the import button, download the pre-made CSV, and then copy the data from the old export to the new import. This is not particularly fast, but it is a good way to get the data in as a whole. Second off, you can use PySync. We're going to make a separate video on how to use PySync and how to set it up. Now, my question is, PySync is dangerous because it pulls everything in that phone over to Command, and then you have to go in and clean it up. So I would much prefer you go one by one, adding those contacts, and as you add them into Command, you're giving them a call saying, hey guys, just wanted to let you know I'm still in real estate. I'm selling houses. How can I help you? Great. When's your birthday so I can update my database? When's your wedding? When's this? And as you're having those conversations, you're sitting there adding them into the database, updating, cleaning it up. But I know sometimes we just need to get the data in there so we can start working it. The import is a great option. You also have your leverage centers and your agent services. Feel free to reach out to agent services in all of our market centers or any of our leverage centers, and we can get that database pulled from anywhere and get it into there. Second off, if you've got a database today that needs to get in there and you're having issues, reach out, let me know. We'll get you with either agent services or I'll personally help you get it done. Having the data in the database will at least give you the opportunity to make sure you're touching them, because that timeline will tell you time and time again what you've been doing and what you haven't been doing. So the power is there, the value is there. I know that there's going to be questions. I know there's somebody out there saying, well, how do I make this work? Or this doesn't work the way I think it should work. Let's talk about it. Let's reach out. Put it in the comments below. I'll do my best to monitor out the comments this week and try to answer as many as I can. Make sure you're reaching out to your MCTTs. Allison's in Amarillo. Leanne's in Lubbock. Brittany's in El Paso. I'm here in Midland. I'm here. If for some reason they're out, if they're on vacation, whatever, you can reach out to me and I will do my best to help you. I've helped a lot of you kind of work through some smaller stuff. We're getting into the big stuff now. I want you to build that business and grow. So great. I'm just poking my head over here to see if we have any other questions that have popped up. I don't see any. Guys, this has been a great week. We've talked about database. Start doing it. Get in there. Build that habit. If you will spend the next 66 days, which is a long time, don't get me wrong, it's a long time. Spend 66 days adding 2, 3, 4 contacts. You're going to be setting yourself up for success, and you're going to be setting yourself up for commissions. Guys, I'm super excited about where we're headed. I want to help you. Our NCTTs want to help you. If you're having problems, reach out. Don't sit there. If you spend more than about an hour trying to figure something out, you should have already reached out to one of us. Guys, we are here to help. We're here to help your leadership. We're here to help you build a better life that you designed. Guys, I'm super excited. Have a great day, and we will see you next week.